stuff on the Windows operating into Windows, because I'm going to be talking a lot about Windows, and hopefully as I do this, going back and forth, we won't have any hangups, and if I do, please bear with me on this. I may be covering some familiar stuff that some of you may know, and if hopefully I won't say anything wrong, but there'll be opportunity to comment. I think I ran a thing on yesterday, and it was about an hour and a half, so there's time for commentary, and everybody knows how to mute and unmute their I can't unmute, otherwise you won't hear me, but other people should unmute so we don't have the background noises. I'm going to put the PDF into the slide presentation into a PDF form, which I will send to Barry, and hopefully he will then publish it on the website. Okay, I'm going to talk a lot about Windows 10 and some of the stuff that's going on. I have uploaded the latest version, the May version 2004. When it came available at the end of May, I could not upload it. The message was that my system wasn't ready for it. I think that was the wrong thing. It wasn't my system. It was nothing that was going to change my system. It must have been Microsoft didn't want to send it out to my system just yet. And I have another laptop which is like 10 years old, and that one took about a month before. In fact, I just got the message now that it was ready to be going to 2004. And my desktop is slightly newer. It's about 6 years old, and I have updated it to 2004. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. This gives you just some brief information about my system. It's a laptop, an HP laptop. It's a gaming laptop, and that's enabled. I have an i7. This particular CPU has 6 units, and then times 2. So I have 12 logical units here that can run this thing, and it's pretty fast. And I got it so I could play with Google virtuality, like the Oculus software. And I have the headgear and all that for that. And I've talked about that, I believe, last year at OPC presentation. My GPU is a GTS 1060, which is a fairly powerful GPU. But when I run the video, Oculus on there, it just about maxes out. So I switched my Oculus to my desktop, and I have a 1070 Ti, which it runs about 30 to 50% level when it's running the Oculus program. Memory, I have 16 gigabytes, and I have one of these M.2 256 Samsung solid-state drives, and to store games and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not really a gamer. I just wanted to have the additional performance. It has a 1 terabyte hard disk inside it as well. And again, as I mentioned, I'm running Windows 10 Pro 2004. It was installed 6.9 about a couple of weeks after it came out. And that's the OS build. Now, one of the new features that came with that 2004 is something called Windows Features Experience Pack, and I'll mention that in a minute. Let me go to that and see and tell you what that means. And now, to do that, I have to leave this and go into my system, and I'm hoping this will do it. Yeah, here we go. I'm in my system here, and I'm going to go to Settings and System, and I'm going to go to all the way down to About. Can everybody see that? And then all the way down here, here it is. Let me see, where is it? Here it is, Experience. This is new, and it came with Windows 2004. Okay, so what does that mean? That's the next slide. Okay, so it's a it's a way for Microsoft to bundle together features that will be updated faster than the Windows 10 OS itself. So they're trying to reduce the time to do updates. And so instead of updating a lot of things, it'll just update certain things. Right now, there are a few things in the Windows Experience feature bag, the updated snipping tool. And let me demo that. You go to a snipping tool, which is down here. And here you see try snip and sketch. That's the new one. And you open it up, and if you want to snip something, you click new, snip now, and I'll snip something here. There you have it. Okay. Then you can add commentary different ways, and then you can enlarge it. You can save it. You can let's see. You can copy it, and you can send it or send it somewhere. Share it. Okay. So that's new. The other thing is this updated text input panel. Okay, what is that? You get to that by hitting the Windows key and the period, and up comes this window here with all these emojis. Now, what I found out, some of them in some things they're not in color. Others they're in color, so it's kind of weird. I didn't know why that is. But in addition, it has these kinds of emojis, and then it has things. And then along the bottom here, it has different signals here, different dollar or currency things, then different alphabet letters from different languages and so on. It's got fractional things, and so on, Greek letters and all that kind of stuff. Now, what I find interesting is if you're typing, for example, in Word or whatever, and you need to go, you have to go up to the bar and click on a couple of times to find where you have these features. And now you can just use the window key and a period, and this comes up, and you can do all these wonderful things. I'm not a big emoji user, but I do use sometimes some of the other stuff. The final one is the updated self-suggestion user interface, and that is self-suggestions, for example, is if you add to your Windows 10 the Windows 7 type of menu. That's an example of the shell. And I got this information from ZDNet, and here's the link on that. This is one explanation of what's going on. It talks about what I just demonstrated. So you can read that, and once I've given the PDF to Barry and he's published it. The other thing here is that Windows has a website, Features on Demand, and you can available features on demand, and you can it talks about what is pre-installed and what you can add if you want to. And there's a couple of things here in this paragraph. If you look at this site, it gives you some of these instructions. This one right here, this DISM, image, path to image, get capabilities, and so on. And or this other one lets you see what you have. You run those in the command terminal, and you have to run it as a administrator. So, and then here's another article, a link you can go to, and it talks about features on demand and so on. So this is new stuff that Windows is doing, and you can read about it. I'm not going to go into great detail on it other than to talk about it, at least to point it out that it's available. Okay, so that's that. Next slide. Windows security. I want to talk a little bit about that, and actually I'm going to talk about a little bit more about internet security at the later on. But I used to use Avast antivirus for many years, and it cost about $70 a year and enabled me to protect my 2 laptops and the desktop. I didn't have anything. I had a freebie version for my Android tablet. But there was a bunch of articles, and one of them is this How to Geek on Windows Defender, where they really talk about Windows Defender now is good enough as an antivirus, and especially if you combine it with the free Malwarebytes. Of course, Malwarebytes also has a premium edition, which is around high 20s or $30. And there's also Malwarebytes ransomware. So that's what those 3 things is what I have on my system here. And so I'm going to demo it. I don't know, again, some of you guys know about this. So if you go to settings again, and you go to update and security, and then you click Windows security, here it says everything that's protected, and it has a check mark. Okay, now one of the things you can click on here is virus and threat protection. You click on that thing, and here's you can do scans. Then you can do different kind of scans. So under scan options, you can do a quick scan. I did one here yesterday. It took 1 minute and 11 seconds. And it looked at about, 46,591 files. There's a full scan, which takes about an hour. I haven't done that. I may do it. I should have done it by now, but I haven't. And then there's custom scans. And then there's Microsoft Defender offline scans, where it gets the latest viruses and other stuff from the cloud. Okay, and it says this one takes about 15 minutes. So these are different scans you can run with Windows Defender. Okay, so there's one other, let's see, firewall and network protection. The firewall is on, private network is active. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And the public network is on as well. So these features are on, but right now I'm on private network. So those are the features. Now the How to Geek Defender, let's just open that article. What's the best antivirus for Windows 10? You know, How to Geek is, you know, most of the presenters think that, we think that How to Geek is a pretty good website. And so they talk about how good Windows Defender is. And it's interesting here at the beginning, I'll just point this out. We definitely recommend you read the entire article, but a lot of people won't, so they've got their summary points right here. Use the built-in Windows Defender for additional antivirus. Criminals have moved on from regular viruses to focus on ransomware, zero-day attacks, and even worse malware that traditional antivirus just can't handle. Windows Defender is built right in, blazing fast, doesn't annoy you, and does its job cleaning old school viruses. Use Malwarebytes for anti-malware, anti-exploit. All of the huge malware outbreaks these days are using zero-day flaws in your browser to install ransomware to take over your PC, and only Malwarebytes provides really excellent protection against this. Okay, so that's the summary, but there's more detail in the rest of the article, and then you read it if you want. The date of the article is February 13, 2020, so it's pretty relevant. I've read a couple of other articles where it compares where it really compares Windows Defender, and they're saying to some of the other viruses, and they're really saying Windows Defender has come a long way and is comparable to some of the best ones around. And depending on what website and what article you look at, you know, Bitdefender may be 1 in 1, maybe another one. They vary. Nobody consistently comes up with the same absolute top virus program. Okay, so that's that about viruses. One of the things I noticed as I was poking through settings was this thing. I noticed that I was actually, when I was in my setting for the was in private network settings, and I said, well, what does that mean, and what is public network? You know, actually, my computer was set up. My Windows 10 was set up for public network, and I'm saying I didn't do that. So I guess that's a default setting when you install Windows 10, or maybe when you update it. And so I wanted to find a little bit more about what the differences between them are. Again, some of you may already know about this, but I was curious, and so on. So anyways, in private networks, use this when you trust the local area network that you're on, the LAN, such as your home or work network. When a network is set to private, your PC is discoverable. Can I flip that the other way so you can read it all? To other devices on the network, and you can use your PC for file and printer sharing. And then Windows lets you go to a public network. Use this for networks you connect to when you're out and about, a Wi-Fi network at a coffee shop. Your PC will be hidden from other devices on the network, and you can't use your PC file for file and printer sharing. I'm going to demo that. Now, how do you find out what your setting is? Well, the way you do it apparently is you go to the icon in the task manager down here and right-click on it, open Windows and Internet, and then click on that. And then you go, it shows you what, and right now I'm connected to MyNet 5G-1, which is a 5 gigahertz connection to my router. And you go under properties, and this is where you select whether you're in a public or private, okay? So if you're out and about, now I never use I have yet to use, in all the years I've had a laptop, to use it outside at a coffee shop or whatever. I know if you go to Panera, there's all these people sitting there. I don't do that. I don't know how many of you guys do that. So presumably if you do that, you go to a public network, but and then it prevents them from connecting to your PC, and Windows protects you. How good is that? I'll have to, as opposed to later on, people say, well, if you do that, you're supposed to be using VPN. And we'll get into that shortly. But anyways, this is how you set it, whether you want public or private. Now, like I said, I'm a private network. So when I log on to, if I go to Windows Explorer and I go down here, it says network. Now, sitting next to me is my old HP laptop, and it's connected. You see, I can look at and go to the Windows file or that file and get information. So that's how I'm sharing. I can share between the two laptops the file, and here's all the various disks I have. Now, I don't know why it exactly mentions AP laptop again, but anyways, that's what you can do by clicking on public network. If you have more than one computer, you can share information between them. But if you go outside to another network, that's when you want to use, change your settings. And I showed you how to do that by going down here. Okay. There is an article by somebody called Rick's Daily Tips that talks about network sharing and so on, and what you can do. Now, one of the things the guy that mentions in the article is that and if you don't need to do any sharing between computers and for example, an iPad or whatever, and your laptop or your desktop, then you might still want to use the public setting, uh, even in your local network at home, especially if you have guests or so on. That prevents them from getting access to your data. Okay, so probably the best of both worlds is to actually have your own system and your home system set up for public. Okay, and that way you won't, nobody can, anybody, your kids or whatever, cannot get access to your data. Excuse me a minute. What's the data? This is also a current article, May 24, 2020. One of the things you need to do these days is look at when an article is written, because sometimes the graphics in the article will be out of date. You know, it'll use Windows or some other thing when it was 2 years ago. So you have to be careful about that. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is the Windows Sandbox. That's a feature that came recently. I think it was actually 1903 version, the one last fall. It acts like a virtual PC, but it requires that your processor have virtualization capability. And you need Windows 10 Pro or Enterprise, and I've got an asterisk there because there's a way to add it to Home, provided, this is a big provided, that your hardware supports it. In other words, that it has virtualization and something called second level addressing. Okay, so for example, I found out that my old HP, which is dated 2008, it does have virtualization. However, when I look at it and try to do it, it says it can't run the sandbox because it doesn't have second level address translation. So how do you know that you have virtualization? Well, you have to go to the task manager. That's the wrong one. Let me close this and give me a little room. You click on performance and you click on the CPTU, and there it is. Let me move that over. Virtualization enabled. If it says not enabled or whatever, then you need to go into your BIOS and enable it. Okay, that's the first requirement. The second requirement is that you need to turn it on in the Windows features. So you go down here and you type in Windows features, turned on and off, and you click on that. And you scroll down, and here it says Windows Sandbox, and you have to check mark that. Now in my other HP laptop, which can run Windows 7, there's a shadow over this. Okay, and when I click on it, like here, that message you see that came up, it says that I don't have second level address translation on that CPU, so it cannot run the unit. There's an article that talks about how to mess around with it and what it's good for. It's half app, half virtual machine, lets you quickly spin up a virtual clean OS operating image from the system's current state, so you can test programs or files in a secure environment that's isolated from your main system. Another way to do that is, of course, to have a virtual machine, and I do have those available in my system. Let me demo it. So as I showed you that my system can do that, and I have it, the icon in the, here it is in the start menu. You click on it, and up comes the window. Okay, now it already has two things there. You notice it's got Microsoft Edge. That's a built-in program. And the other one is it has Windows Explorer with all kinds of folders. But if you click on them, if you click on the desktop, all it shows is the Microsoft Edge. If you click on Documents, it's empty. If you click on Downloads, it's empty. So all of these folders are empty and there's nothing there. So how do you use it if you want to test software? Well, that's why the Microsoft Edge is there. You can go to, you can log on to a website. Let me double click it. There, it went to, it's a Microsoft Edge, but you can go to some program like, I don't know, let's go to Amazon.com. And you can open it up full, like there you go, and you can open this whole window up like that. Okay, or you can go, okay, so you go to the website from where you're going to download a program, and it will store it in the, it will, and when you download something, it goes into download. So it's going to be right here, and then from here you can run it and check it out. And that'll be there as long as you have this window open, the sandbox open, everything will be there. The other thing you can do, if you have a program in your let's see here, how do I get out of Windows Edge? That's a good point. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. I got to get back to my program.
Alt F4 might close it.
Now I want to be careful about that one. Let me see here. I shouldn't have opened it totally. Yeah, this is just Microsoft Edge settings. This is all just in the Edge. Whoa. Okay, this is what I was afraid I was going to get stuck. So maybe what I...
Yeah, up at the top, right at the top there, where it says Windows Sandbox, over to the right of that, you can minimize that.
Windows Sandbox up at the top. Where up at the top?
Right in the middle. Right. Yep. Just above that. At least we can see it. Maybe you can't see that.
There's an X.
What if you hit escape?
I did that. That was the first thing I did.
There is a next. There is a next there. To close sandbox.
Yeah, we can see the right above your cursor there it says Sandbox, and just over there where it was, there's a X right above that. Yep, right up there.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Thank you. All right. That wasn't too bad. Okay. So one other thing. Let me open it again, and I won't go to full screen. What you can do is you can go to your regular system, your regular program, and for example, I got downloads. Where are they? Right here. And I got a little program here called Crystal Disk Mark. And I'm going to click on it and copy it, and then go to the sandbox, and I can paste it right here. Okay, and then I can click on that, and accept the agreement and run and install it. And it'll create a short dust cut. Okay, there it is, and finish. I can delete this one. Okay, so there's ran the program, and I just briefly run it here. I'll just run one thing at a small 16 megabyte, and then you just run it. So that's how you would do that. As long as you keep the box open, everything will be there. Well, once you close it, the box, that crystal disk will disappear, and when you reopen it again, all you'll see is the Microsoft Edge. Now, one other thing that's interesting here that I should point out. So anyways, you can see that this crystal disk mark is running and it's testing the local C drive. And you know, my real C drive is right here, properties. It's a 254 disk, but it looks like if I'm going to close that. Oh, I got to stop it first. If I go in here on the Windows Explorer in the sandbox and I look at this PC and I look at C and do properties, it looks like in opening the sandbox, it commandeered and created a dummy or a virtual disk of 42 megabytes. Right now on my disk, I have actually 70 gigabytes, of disk space available. And so it grabbed about 43 gigabytes, so that 39.8 gigabytes, actually 40 gigabytes. And it's as a virtual disk where you can store. So as long as you're open, it's going to be grabbing some of that. But if you close it, that C disk in the sandbox will disappear. Okay, so that's the sandbox. So I'm going to close it. And if I open it again, just to verify one more time. No, I didn't open it. Oh, there it is down here. Okay, so the program I saved is gone, right? I had it right over here. That disk checking system is gone. So every time you open it up, it's a clean slate and you can do with it what you want. Okay, so that's the sandbox. Okay, I did mention that you can add it to home. I think I already talked about that, didn't I? That there's this website in German. It's all in German, unfortunately, but you can open it with that link I gave you, and this is the file you want, Sandbox Installer. It's a batch file, and if you have Windows Home 10 and you're interested in doing the sandbox, download this file and run it. It takes a while to do all the stuff. But again, just as a warning, you have to have the virtual capability. Your CPU has to have the right stuff in order to run it on home, but it is available for home. Now, maybe later on, some other versions of a home will get sandbox. I think I've seen articles to that effect. One of the things the guys warned about here is that you need to do a restore point just in case. And also, you still need to go into the Windows features and tick on you should see the sandbox there then and tick it on. And if everything is okay with your hardware, it should go. In Windows, if you look at the programs, the sandbox shows up right here, okay? And you can transfer it as I did to the start menu. Okay, another thing I came across an article is something about checking your performance monitor of your system. I do have a link for that, and you can open it and read about how it works. What's the date on this one? It's published August 8th. It's pretty current, 2018. So this one takes a little bit to open up here, but it shows, and I'm going to demo it, okay? But if you want to do it on your own system, you can go in here and through it. I'm going to show you what he's showing here in the site. So let me demo that. What you need to do is you need to go to Windows key and R to open up the run window, Windows key and the R, and you type in PERF Performance MON Monitor, and you click on it. Okay, up comes this window, and you can use Performance Monitor to view performance data either in real time or from a log file. This right here, and this data, it doesn't look very obvious for anything, and I don't know, depending on your expertise, you may be able to, it just, as far as I'm concerned, is a bunch of gobbledygook right now. But what we're interested in is to go over here to this data collector sets system, and here you got the system diagnostics and system performance. Now they run, but they don't show you on the data. To see the data, they'll write a report, and that's shown here in the systems, okay, the diagnostics. And if you run the performance, it'll generate a report under system performance. Okay, so let's run the diagnostic one here, which is the one that's really of most interesting. You right-click it and you say start. And it takes about a minute to run the thing. So what you can do is you can go over here to system diagnostics, and I run a bunch of these here the last couple of days, but this one would be the latest one. If I click on it, it shows you this window, and it's telling you that it's collecting data for 60 seconds. Okay, and so we wait for 60 seconds. Now, if you were running other stuff in the background, it would be doing that. But right now, it's interesting. Whenever I ran it before, it was not really doing very much. And but now we're running Zoom and so on. So there should be some more interesting data here. 60 seconds can be a fairly long time. So excuse me, I'm going to have a drink. Okay, it's generating the report. Okay, what I'm interested in mostly here, there's two things, is this area right in here, saying OS checks, disk checks, security checks, system service checks, hardware driver, and sec. Looks like everything's okay in my system, okay? But it did say up here, look at that, there's a warning and it says informational only, missing events in event log, investigating why 43% of events were lost during data collection. So I don't know what that means. I may dig into that a little bit more, but obviously it's only information. Now there's also a thing about resource view here. It's saying that the CPU was 17% utilization load. The busiest network adapter is less than 15%. So even though we're running Zoom and all that, it's not really using the network that much. And utilization 67 on disk I/O is less than 100 per second on disk. So, and then there's a lot more information here. A lot of it is just I have no idea what they're talking about here. So you can click on it and just look at it, but you have to be a pretty good expert. I really have no understanding of that, but of what all that other information means. But I was interested. I thought this was useful to once in a while run your system if you have any issues and see what that says, okay? I did have one time I ran it and it told me that there was a problem connecting to the printer. which was funny because I was able to print okay. So I don't know. But anyways, I thought this was a kind of intriguing thing, and so that's why I talked about it. Again, you can look at the link and read more about it in detail. All right, next. The thing here is there's a lot of websites that talk about what's happening in Windows and so on. So I thought I'd talk about that. One of the things I noticed, and you may have seen this before, it says that Windows 10 Device Manager, which is in a control panel, will no longer update device drivers. And so what you need to do is go to the manufacturer of the device support site and download the latest version and then install it. And for those of you who don't visit the device manager very much, you go to your control panel, device manager, and let's see, look at my disk drives here. Where are they? Display adapters, disk drives. Right click or click on it, and here's the, that's the solid state M.2 drive here, update driver. You click on that, it goes into your search automatically for drivers. Windows does that. It looks like it will not do that in the future. And you're going to have to use something like Browse My Computer for drivers after you've downloaded it to the website. To your computer. And then what is in the upcoming versions of Windows 10? I'm going to summarize. There's a link here. This is actually a windowslatest.com website. Here's what's coming in the future versions of Windows 10. There's a more elaborate discussion, but I'm just going to like storage recommendations, apps and features, start menu. Actually, the start menu, there's a new start menu, and it is available to download, and I tried to download it, and I did download it from Windows, and I tried to run it on this system, and it told me my system wasn't ready again for this. So that was a disappointment. Anyways, in that article, these are some of the things that it summarizes. Storage settings will provide cleanup recommendation to help you free up space. Improve the apps and features page. I mentioned that earlier. A new start menu design. It's a cleaner, more modern looking. Changes in the way Alt-Tab works, and then bring the settings and control panel closer together or merge them. They weren't sure. And there's a couple of rumored things, something about a window volume flyout. What they mean talk to here is if you go here, let's see here, when you either have the volume showing or it's in this thing which is obscured here. And you click on it, all you see is the slide bar for volume. Well, they're going to make that a little bit more involved. So, and then modernize disk management and partition tools. So those are rumored, and so on. Anyways, there's a little bit more detail in that link here that I've talked to you. So we should go from there. If you want to be more interesting, or just go on the web and Google search and just click on. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about was this here. This subject is to talk about what does it mean HTTP, HTTPS, VPN, and Tor browser in terms of how they secure when you're browsing on the internet or when you're using the web. And what stimulated me to talk about this was that I saw an article or something came up on my Firefox browser, which is my main browser, at least on the laptops. And they mentioned there that Mozilla, which is the Firefox company that provides Firefox free, Mozilla is providing a VPN site, and they got a number of web servers, and they're going to get more and all that, and it's like $3 a month or something like that. So I said, oh, that's interesting. Generally, I've been following Mozilla with their updates and their browsers and all that, so I thought I'd check that out, which made me then get a little bit deeper. What is VPN? So the first thing in internet, the way the internet runs is this HTTP, which we all know stands for Hypertext Transport Protocol, and it's the digital information that surrounds the data package to enable that to travel through the internet. You know, it tells all that destination and all that kind of stuff. And it is standard unsecured web traffic. People that can intercept that and see what it is. Well, I guess this was as banks and other outfits that need security went online, and companies, let's stay with banks. They said they needed something better. So they came up with this HTTPS. And when we look at on our browsers these days, mostly when you go to a website, you see that HTTPS. And that stands for Hypertext Transport Protocol Secure. This does two main things. It verifies that the website's identity by a third party, and you're not being spoofed. In other words, if you're going to your bank, it verifies, using HTTPS, it verifies that you are actually at your bank and not some spoofing website that claims to be your bank and you're giving it all your information. And secondly, besides varying what the website does, it encrypts the information exchanged at various levels, depending on the server at the website. There is an article here, the Geek article. Again, I like using Geek because we kind of like their website. And the article is, what is HTTPS and why should I care? You can go and read it and all that stuff, but I'm going to demo it and I'll show you what is really happening here. To do that, I have to go to my browser. I'm going to go to my favorite Firefox browser. And, well, we're already at a site, windowslatest.com. There's two things here that I'm going to draw your attention to, and you may not have noticed. This one here, this shield sign, and you click on it, and this is provided by the Firefox browser itself. And it does a number of things, media trackers, nothing there, and so on, tracks. But one of the things it does is here, this protection dashboard. And I talked about this before when this became available. You may have to add this as an option. I've forgotten, but anyways, so anyways, that's what this thing does, okay? And you can do tracking content, not blocking, tracking websites, may load external. These are all the guys, I guess, that I'm tracking me right now. A more important thing, though, is this other thing here. So whenever you see HTTPS, like we see here, you click on that. And it says the connection is secure, and you click on this, and it tells you that this site, that it is a windowslatest.com. This site is verified by this certification. Okay? You are securely connected to this site and is verified by Cedigo Limited. Now, what you want to do is click on more information. And this is what really is interesting. It gives you the website, again, who is secured by Cedigo Limited, the view the certificate, and it tells you some information about who the heck this outfit is. And it said, have I visited this website prior to today? Yes, 13 times. Is this website storing information on it? Yes, cookies. And you notice this? Look at that. You can clear cookies and site data that this website has on you. Let's clear and let's do this and see what happens. Remove. Okay, so now that the data is gone. Have I saved any password to this website? No. And you can view them. But here's what I find interesting, the technical details. It tells you the level of encryption they're using, TTLS AES 256, which is about the highest level. Maybe there's some higher levels, but this is, as some of the articles on the web say, this is the same as top secret government security level, okay? 256-bit keys. All right, so that's what is. So the information between this website and my browser right now is secure at this high level. Okay.
And I think they should be, the highest security is TLS 2.0. They had TLS 1.3.
Right, so you know, I guess, but one of the things I'm also reading is that websites like Browser and Google and others are encouraging other websites to use HTTPS. Okay, originally HTTPS was used by banks and high security companies, okay? But now it's very common and most websites are using this. And that's the information. Now, if you go to Amazon or whatever, let's go to Amazon and look at it, okay? You see, okay, it's verified by a different company, DigiCert. That verification expired July 10 next year. It looks like I visited this site 198 times. It's got 1.7 megabytes of data on me. I haven't cleared it, but let's see what that is here. Remove. Okay, looks like I just removed it. And notice here, though, the level of is only 128 bits, okay? So yeah, not everybody uses 256, but your bank will. My bank is pnc.com. It may change when you go to the checkout site. Yeah, if I go, I went to my website, Vanguard, my financial website, and there is 256. pnc.com. If they take credit cards, they must be at 256. Right. Okay, so the bank right now, even though I'm not doing any transactions right now, but maybe I do want to log on, and if I did log on, I do. This is my bank, and if I go and log on, they use 256 bits. So it looks like they use 256, whether you're into your account or not. Okay. You're right. I think when you're any kind of financial stuff is they're going to either be there already or switch. So, anyways, I had noticed this key before, but I didn't realize all that information was behind it. So I don't know how current this is with the browser. Now, I just switched to Edge, and let's go log on to a website. It also, see, it doesn't have the shield that Firefox does, but it does have this, and connection is secure. It doesn't, tracker's blocked, so it's blocking, but it doesn't say, there talks about the certificate, but it doesn't have the more information here that I see. Okay, so different browsers. That's one of the reasons I guess I like using Firefox. Okay, again, the Geek article goes into it, and then you can read that for more detail, or you can Google some more of that. Okay, it's 12 o'clock here, and the timing is about right from when I did my preview run yesterday. I've got a 6-minute video that talks about VPN here. Now, there's all kinds of videos on YouTube about explaining VPN, and in addition to that, they range from minutes. This one is 6 minutes, so that's one of the reasons I chose it. And the guy is a very good English-speaking guy, no accent and all that. So that's one of the I chose it. It just gives you basic fundamental information. But there are many other websites. They run anywhere from minutes to half an hour to an hour and a half on explaining VPN. And they go into great detail about the packets that are involved and how the tunnel is made and all that kind of stuff. So we want to take a 5-minute break and then come back, and I'll resume with that video, okay?
Hey, Lynn, I've got to go. It's very interesting. I don't know if Mary Ann's recording it. I asked her, but
She said she was.
okay. And then she'll post it unless you say dirty words. So we should be good.
Right. What I do go on here is I talk about the video VPN a little bit, and then compare the HTTPS versus VPN, and I also compare it to the Tor browser because there's articles that do that. Okay. Okay. So see you in 5 minutes. while we're waiting another minute, I'm just going to see what the load is here with on Wi-Fi doing all this stuff. Let's see. Okay, it's well, that's interesting. We're sending out at 1.2 megabits per second, and my limit is with Huawei is 12 megabits per second. So we're not really taxing the system, and I'm receiving nothing right now. So that's interesting, very interesting. Okay, everybody ready to go? I'm going to click on the video. And of course, with every video, there's always a little bit of advertising in. So I'm going to, as soon as okay.
Got no sound.
Pardon?
Can't hear the sound.
Okay. Does that make a difference?
Nope.
Okay, that's, I don't know what to do about that. Let me think.
Len, you have to go up to next to your view options. There's a more button,
Yes?
and underneath the more button, it says enable computer audio.
Enable computer audio.
Somewhere up the
Chad.
top, there'll be those three buttons.
When I go to the stop video mute, under the more, record this computer, record meeting info, disable participants, show names of hide video panel, share computer sound. There you go. Okay, let's try that now.
Important. Let's dive in together and find out.
That's it. That's it.
Hey!
Over the next few minutes, this VPN video reviews Ultimate Beginner's Guide to VPNs will run through a number of different topics, but if you want to skip to one in particular, you can use the time markers you see here. So with that out of the way, let's get started. Why a VPN? It seems like almost every week there's a front page news story about somebody's email getting hacked, identity stolen, or privacy exploited. Get used to it. This is our new reality. It's more important for us to secure our computers nowadays than it is for us to lock our doors. If you've known anybody who's had their identity stolen, you know that it's not a simple wipe and replace. It takes years, sometimes more than a decade, to recover from an identity theft. So what can you do to protect yourself? Well, there are a number of measures you can take, such as updating your Facebook security settings or creating long, secure passwords. But one of the easiest things you can do today is start using a VPN. It's not foolproof, and despite the marketing, I don't believe we're ever completely anonymous or totally safe on the internet, but it is the best step you can take to secure yourself online. Well, then that begs the question, what exactly is a VPN? A VPN, again, a virtual private network, is a means to encrypt or secure your data to keep it safe and to add a layer of privacy to protect your identity. Without going into too much boring detail, here's the way you can visualize a VPN. Imagine that this is you on your computer and the cloud is the internet. Normally, your computer accesses the internet directly via your internet service provider. While this connection may be fast, it's rarely secured and it's very easily traced back to you. When you access the internet via a VPN, imagine that your connection is routed through the internet via a secure tunnel to a server in another location, sometimes in a different city, sometimes in a different country. At this point, the server accesses the internet on your behalf. The benefit here is that not only are you keeping your data safe, you're also masking your location by making the internet think that you're located where the server is, not your actual home or office. Initially, VPNs were developed for corporations that needed to protect their sensitive data being sent over public and private networks. But ever since WikiLeaks became a household name, the personal VPN market has rightly grown by leaps and bounds. What most people don't realize is that not all VPN encryption is the same. You might hear terms like OpenVPN versus PPTP, or 256-bit encryption versus 128-bit encryption. It's not important for you to understand all these connection protocols. Just know that the higher bit encryption rate is better than a lower bit encryption rate, and frankly, some form of VPN encryption is better than nothing at all. Now, in the real world, what does it look like to use a VPN? With a VPN, I can jump on the internet at my favorite coffee shop and be confident that all the passwords I'm typing or the websites I'm visiting can't be intercepted by a hacker sitting in a corner sipping a latte. A VPN can also spoof or trick the internet into thinking you're in a different location. For instance, I may be logging on to my computer in Bangkok, Thailand, but with a VPN, I can spoof my location to, say, Chicago or Paris. This is important if you travel a lot and like to use services like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, Pandora, any type of streaming service that restricts content based on geolocation. Now, let's stop for a moment and consider the reasons not to use a VPN. I mean, if a VPN is so important, why isn't everybody and their mother using one, right? Great question. There are a few reasons why this is the case. First, most people don't realize that something as simple as using a public Wi-Fi network outside their home puts their security at serious risk. I'm not being an alarmist here. It's scary easy to snoop on computers over a public Wi-Fi network. Second, some people don't like using a VPN because it naturally slows down your internet speeds. When you begin encrypting and rerouting your internet traffic, there's just no way to get around a loss in speed. Finally, personal VPNs cost money. Sure, there are free VPNs out there, but as they say, nothing is really free. These free VPNs, they either display tons of ads or sell your information, which is exactly the opposite reason of using a VPN. The paid services aren't crazy expensive, but for some reason it's been a deterrent for people. Allow me to conclude this explanation of a VPN with these thoughts. First, a VPN is not a connection to the internet, it's a secure way to access the internet. Good news, a VPN is often really easy to use, even if you don't consider yourself tech savvy. Finally, if you use public Wi-Fi at places like a coffee shop, an airport, a church, your local grocery store, anywhere, you should seriously consider a VPN. If you want more information on VPNs, I suggest you check out our VPN FAQs, where I cover commonly asked questions, our VPN reviews, where I also show you the pros and cons of the most popular VPNs, and of course our step-by-step VPN setup tutorials.
I'm going to stop it right there and make these comments. I mean, it's a very simple one. There are, as I said before, there are dozens of videos on the internet about VPN, varying in length from this one like 6 minutes all the way up to an hour and a half. And so, you know, it's up to you whether you want to listen to them. In fact, you can see down here all of them right here, okay? I've listened to this guy down here. This is a half an hour one, and he goes all the way back to why there's an internet and all that kind of stuff, and he explains the tunnel and all that kind of stuff. So you might want to look at this one at half an hour. The other thing is, if you Google VPN websites or articles that compare different websites, there's dozens, several of those, and some of the top websites are ExpressVPN, NordVPN, Norton, and so on. And different some of these different articles identify, you know, which is number one, which is number two, which is three, based on their evaluation, and they don't all agree. So, although I think there's people there that already, some of our computer club users are already using VPN. You might ask them what they think about their system. And then you can go to the individual websites and they'll tell you what they got, how many servers they have in how many countries, whether they allow streaming, whether they allow a person to P2P, person-to-person type of torrent streaming and that kind of stuff, okay? So there's a lot more information available if you're interested. Okay. Now, the other thing is that, and the reason I bring up the Tor browser here is because there's an article and the link, I'll click on it, about the Tor browser and what it does. And then how to download it. But the reason is that I found an article that really compared the two, the Tor browser versus the VPN. So let's go to that. Comparing VPN to Tor browser. The VPN emphasizes privacy, whereas the Tor browser anonymity. And like I say, the VPN uses a tunnel and the information is encrypted. Now, if you're going to your bank through VPN, you may actually be encrypting the encrypting. I saw a link to that where they said that. Now, I don't know why they would do that because, again, encryption slows down your machine, but that's what they're saying. And if the website doesn't use that, then, of course, it will encrypt at just one level. I'm going to go back here a minute and go to this link right here. It talks about how the Tor browser works, and instead of doing a tunnel, what it does, it routes you using encryption through levels, through what they call relays or servers, which are run by volunteers. Actually, there's about 5,000 or 6,000 of them around the world. You know that every one of these is a different level of encryption. So you go in here, the first relay, and the second relay only knows that it's coming from this thing. It doesn't know that it's coming from you. And the third relay only knows that the information is coming from you. And the website only knows that you're contacting, only knows that it's coming from this web browser. And I'll demonstrate that when I open up the Tor browser, because I have a version on my system. So the website is you're totally anonymous, okay? Nobody, because there's no way these servers, how to trace you back through these servers where the data and the information is encrypted, okay? Now, over here to the left, this is about the browser, and then there's all this information about how it works and so on. So you can go to this website if you're really interested in using the Tor browser and dig into that. And it's downloadable, it's free, and they update it. It's Mozilla based. It's it's based on Firefox. So we all love Firefox. So this browser is based on that technology. Okay, so let's go back to that. And I'm going to demo the browser now, okay? Because then I'm going to compare the browser to VPN. I go to the Start menu, and here it is, Start the browser. Okay. Now, what's interesting is see how quickly it does establish the connection. I mean, it took no time at all. Now, depending on the power of your computer, it may take a little longer. I know this Omen laptop, it doesn't take very long. The other thing to know is that it searches using DuckDuckGo, and you know, Barry recommends this. I use DuckDuckGo most of the time as my search engine because it doesn't track you. So it's automatic. Your search engine is DuckDuckGo. So we type in a site. Right now, there's nothing up here, just Tor browser information. This is just says site information about Tor, doesn't do anything. Connection, there's nothing there. It just says it's a secure phrase. But if we put in a connection, let's say we want to go to Amazon. Okay, so it went to Amazon via DuckDuckGo, and now it does have information. Okay, now see there's this I dot, and here's what it tells you. This browser, that's me. It goes to a website in France. It's called the GARD website. That's the entrance website, the first relay. There then goes the information about, it goes to Germany, and Germany does not know, it just knows it's coming from France. It knows nothing about me. And then goes to another site in Germany, or it could go to Netherlands and so on. You can change that, okay? And immediately, and then it goes to DuckDuckGo. So this demonstrates here the three levels of relays that give you the anonymity that it talks about, okay? Now, in addition to the anonymity, you are going to have, you notice it's HTTPS. So let's look at that. It's the DuckDuckGo is verified again, and then more information. Look at that. We have 256-bit encryption, okay? So you have anonymity and you have encryption. Do you need any more than that? That's debatable. Okay, so everybody follow what I just showed them?
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the demo.
Does this work with Chrome at all?
No, the web browser, how do you mean, does it work with Chrome?
Well, it says the core browser is based on Firefox.
The browser is based on Firefox. It's you download it and you install it like any other piece of software, and you use it. It's no different than using Firefox or the Chromium browser or whatever. Okay, you saw that. It looks very similar. One thing though, they do recommend, and I'll open it again. The safest, oh, it's already open actually. Close the browser. There. Is you're supposed to run it in a window. You don't want to totally open it like that, because apparently if you're really doing really top secure stuff, like for example, if you're a correspondent in Syria and you don't, or in Russia, and you don't want to let anybody snoop on you, apparently there's ways to maybe trace the monitor or whatever. I don't know. Anyways, they recommend, I think in the details somewhere you'll see that you should be doing it in a window and not totally open. In other words, not use full screen. And of course, you can increase the size of the window here. And I'm going to see you can increase it, or you can go full screen. But unless you absolutely have some really absolute private stuff, you don't want to maybe go to full screen. Okay, so comparing HTTPS to VPN. So I go back to the three levels here. Generally, your browser will use HTTPS over your VPN connection. And as I mentioned to you, I just saw an article earlier today that says HTTPS is encrypted at 256. The VPN may encrypt that again, and I guess the net result of that is a really high level of security, but it slows you down. Now, with HTTPS, your ISP knows your web destination, but can't access the encrypted data because it's HTTPS. So, okay, so your IPS, and we know that the U.S. government has allowed ISPs to track what you're doing on the web, keep track of you and the websites you visit. Okay, with VPN, your ISP does not know your web destination because that is in the tunnel, and they cannot break the tunnel. If somebody does break the tunnel, they call that a man-in-the-middle attack. The tunnel breaks down, and according to one guy on the internet, on a video there that I pointed out, the half-hour one, he says that the tunnel will reestablish itself through another connection. That's really interesting that it can do that. But so anyways, so you're protected from your ISP tracking of what you're doing by using VPN. Both use encryption, but VPN may be higher. In other words, it may be encrypting the encryption. And there is a website here. Read the question, if answer, I have HTTPS, so do I need VPN? So there's somebody says, somebody wrote in there about that, and this guy, technical expert, is talking about that. So you might want to read that. And there's a warning there, neither HTTPS or VPN keep your device safe from malware and scams. And that the scams, you know, and some of that other stuff comes through when you're doing an email and whatever, and you open you respond to an email or whatever. So again, and the guy in the video did warn you on that. Nothing is 100% yet. Okay, comparing VPN to the Tor browser. The VPN emphasizes privacy, and you use it when you want a higher level of encryption, like encryption on encryption. Or maybe they always use 256 when you, or when you go to a website that does not use encryption. So they will encrypt it for you. Of course, as the guy said, use it at a coffee shop, an airport, or in a hotel in a foreign country, whatever. Since none of us are doing that today, traveling, so I don't know. Unblocking regional log content when streaming. This is called geo-blocking, okay? So I guess one example somebody talks about, if you, for example, Netflix is available in multiple countries, and in that, say, Great Britain, which, you know, has English movies like we have here, and they may have movies there that are not yet showing here. So you could go using your VPN connection, go to and I guess when you upload the VPN software, you can select which server you want to go to. You can go to a server in Britain and log on to Netflix, and they do good streaming over the VPN, and you can watch Netflix from London that is not available in the United States. It bypasses censorship because they don't know who you are, they're not in the tunnel, and it's inflexible. And then, of course, VPN allows torrenting, which the Tor browser does not. Good VPNs cost anywhere from a few dollars per month if you sign up for a year subscription to up to $20 a month if you only get a month or so. And they offer different services. So you have to go to the actual website, and there are, like I said, there are many articles that compare the sites for you, and then you can click, if you like one, you can click on that specific company's website and read more information and get dollar details. They usually don't talk dollars in these other articles. Okay, some of the VPNs, they limit how many devices you can get for a particular account for the basic rate. Typically, it's at least 3, some are 5, some are 6. One says as many as you want. VPN servers are owned by, excuse the spelling there, by a company, but they don't. For example, if they say they have 1,000 servers all over the world, they don't own the servers in other countries. As a matter of fact, something like ExpressVPN and NordVPN, one is in the British West Indies on an island somewhere, and the other one is in Panama. So what kind of security do they have in these countries? So I don't know. Anyways, and then in other countries, they just have contracts with server companies. So they don't own all the servers that they claim they have, okay? Something to be aware of. And pardon me for misspelling company. Tor emphasizes anonymity, and that they achieve that through the multiple relays, and all the information between the relays is encrypted. So the final, there's no way that the end website knows who you are, where you're coming from. So you're anonymously accessing the internet the web browser is only the browser you can use to access the deep web, okay? Or the dark web or whatever. And I talked about the Tor browser before, and I did mention that, and I explained what the deep web is. It's everything that isn't on the web that isn't immediately available. There are certain websites that you can connect to using the web browser with a special way of entering the address. And that's explained in that article on the web browser. The communication is untraceable. It uses HTTPS, so it is encrypted. You can download it, the browser, on as many devices you want. It's free. And one other thing to notice, the Tor servers are voluntary. And they have another feature which, you know, in places like China, they have bridge relays which are highly guarded. So if you are in China, you want to write a nasty article about the Communist Party and try to get it out, there's ways to connect to Tor in China that the Chinese government can't trace you. So that's my presentation. I told you it was about an hour and a half. I'm still debating whether I want to go to VPN. It seems like HTTPS and is doing most of the stuff. I mean, like I said, I don't really go to use my laptop in coffee shops or at the airport right now. Maybe I'd use my tablet. I do use my Android tablet at you know, when I go to the doctor's office or whatever if I do want to use some other, you want to stay anonymous, I do use the Tor browser. One other thing too is you can put VPN on your home router, and there are routers available that come with it, or you can get from some of the companies, they actually have software that you can burn on your router memory, and it will do that. So, and there may be a different price when you do that. And then, of course, anything that goes to the internet through your router will be going through a VPN. So that's another possibility. My router says it can handle VPN, but I looked at the website that supports Netgear routers and has the software, but it doesn't have it for my specific model. So I don't know what to do about that. So anyways, as I said before, and I'll say it again, there's a lot of articles on YouTube about VPN. There's articles that compare VPN's providers, and between the two of them, you can make a decision whether this is something you want to do, and it's going to cost you probably about $100 a month, and maybe that's worth it. So that's the end of my presentation. Anybody got any questions?
Not $100 a month.
Maybe a year. $100 a year. There was one of the visitors, one of the viewers today, I don't know if he's still on, that said he was using ExpressVPN because he does do the torrenting, transmitting high volume or large files from something to do with his church, video files or whatever. Is he still on today? The guy, I forgot the gentleman's name.
That's Dennis. I'm still here.
So can you comment about your usage of ExpressVPN?
Yeah, well, my primary motivation, I'm getting an echo. I think it's because you enabled audio.
Why don't I go and turn that off?
Yeah.
Okay. It's off.
Okay. My primary motivation in using ExpressVPN, I did look at a number of them, was because I wanted to be able to take my tablet or my laptop with me outside the home and have protection from being hacked, my identity compromised using public networks. And I find that the VPN works very well for that purpose. And I've got it, I currently have it on 5 mobile devices with 1 license. When I initially purchased it 2.5 years ago, it only supported 3 devices on 1 license. And since then, they've upped it to 5. And it's worked extremely well. They have about 1,500 servers in about 150 countries.
How do you select a server? How do you select a country? How do you do that?
It's right on the main menu of the pop-up. When the VPN is running, if you disconnect from where you're at, you can access a menu that will show you by country, all the server locations by country. And for example, in Canada, there's I think 3 or 4 different locations in Canada I can link into. They're all over the world. I mean, if I want to connect to Malaysia, China, Taiwan, India, Israel, England, anywhere in the world, there's 150 countries you can select from the menu, and within most countries, multiple server locations.
Okay. Have you used it for the geo blocking? Have you used it for that?
I haven't had a need to, but because I don't subscribe to pay for streaming services like Netflix and that.
Okay.
I'm too much of a cheapskate.
Okay. So I have another question. Like, what do you do if you want to go to your local bank?
I normally link my VPN to Chicago or New York.
Okay.
Those are major cities that have multiple servers, and it's completely transparent. It's as if you just connected directly to the internet.
Right. And have you noticed the level of encryption? Is it always 256 or what?
I think memory serves me that when I originally signed up, it was 512 with ExpressVPN. Now, I could be wrong, but my memory may be failing me, but I think it's 512.
Wow, so that's double 256. Wow, that's pretty high level.
Now, I would double check me on that, but I seem to remember that's what it was when I signed up.
Okay, wow. And I guess from what they're saying is that they're encrypting what is already encrypted if you go to an HTTPS site, right? So, wow.
Right.
Yeah. Any other?
And like you say, there's going to be some overhead for that, but more encryption, it's not going to hurt me, but it will, I'm sure, to a small degree, impact performance.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
I'm very happy with it.
Okay, great. ExpressVPN is highly rated. They're usually in any article among the top 3. There's NordVPN and Shark, something or other.
The thing of it is, if you have a lot of devices, the router way for the home use might be the best way to go. But my need was for, I have a local area network in my home. So everything's wired in the home. And when I leave the home, I want to be protected out in the public. That's what I got the VPN for. Right.
Yeah, I like I said, I don't use my laptop outside the home, but I do use, I go to my son-in-law's house, my daughter's house, and he lets me log on to his network, and so far we haven't had any issues. And it's automatic. Now I'm wondering, for example, when we go back to OPC, should we be using the public network set up on our Windows 10? But I guess we trust that website. There's not going to be anybody there trying to intercept what we're doing. Okay, so if anybody has any other comment, Tom? Armando?
Oh, We are very glad to hear this explanation.
Yes, thank you very much, Len. I just wanted to say one thing about something that I use when I'm in coffee shops, and that's the hotspot on my phone. So
Okay.
when you turn on the hotspot on your phone, you have a direct Bluetooth connection between your computer and the hotspot with a encoded, encrypted password between the two of them.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
if you were really good, you could probably still intercept the communication between the phone and the computer. But one of the nice things about it is that the IP address that the phone uses is different every time you make a connection.
Mm-hmm.
So it works pretty well. It also is my choice when I'm in a hotel. I never use the hotel Wi-Fi networks because they're always slow and they're hard to get into, and who knows what the security is like.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, listen, this, I'm surprised it went as well as it did in my presentation. We had a couple of little hiccups, but we were able to recover them. So I appreciate the help I got from you guys. And I look forward to next week. And who's on next week? Tom, again, you? Yeah. Okay. All right. Look forward to it then. And as I said, I'm going to send this in PDF form to, and Barry will publish it, and you can download that PDF, and then the links should all be live, and you can go into it. But if you don't want to do that, just go on the internet and YouTube, and you can see all that stuff about VPN, and or just query your questions on Google, and you'll get all kinds of responses, because basically that's what I did here. And
if I may, I'd like to make just a general comment. One of the interesting things I've observed when using this VPN versus an open system is that apparently if you use it in a standard open system, you tend to be profiled in terms of the types of ads you get in between the breaks, you see. So they, for instance, if you are watching the news programs, they take breaks all the time, and then up come these ads, you see. And the ads are selected depending on your previous history. So they have a good idea of who you are, you're well profiled, and they give you the specific ads which you're most likely to be interested in or tormented with, depending on how you want to look at it. If I switch over to the VPN, there's a whole different set of ads or no ads at all. It's just an interesting observation I like to just pass along. That's it.
well, I like the idea of no ads at all, but you do get some ads, as you say.
Yeah, yes. But it's nice to have the screen come up with no ads at all, and then you just have a quiet period that sits in there. I see.
Oh, great.
Yeah, just a naked advertisement for next week. I will be talking about the program I've been working on since January, natural language processing, as well as sharing some clips from a video, a PBS series called Net World, where he'll be talking about the links between social networks and computer networks that basically function along the same lines.
Okie dokie. All right, everybody. See you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Where? Hello. Don't have. You're mute. Jim. Okay.